Hey there, Kate Phillips here. Welcome back to the Total Wealth Show. And today I'm talking about the 7 levers. This is a conversation around reinventing, reimagining, reviving the whole concept of retirement. And these are the 7 levers that will get you from where you are now and help you close that gap to where it is that you want to be, a rich life with freedom and flexibility. And the first lever is your mindset. And I want to break down like how it is that we think about retirement and why that is actually broken, because we have this model of retirement that says this is how it's done. You work a job and then you get to a certain age, maybe it's 65 more or less, and then you stop working and you retire and you're going to have all this money, that's going to support you from here on out. And I'm going to suggest that that's a really limited, we could even say outdated version of retirement. Retirement is a concept that hasn't always been around. There was no concept until during the Great Depression. There were no jobs for younger families. And so the government actually decided to start Social Security as a way of motivating the older workers to retire. And at that point in time, it's like Social Security, I think it started at age 65, and the average age that people died was like 66 or 67. So, it worked pretty well, and it got some people out of the workforce, provided jobs for younger people, younger families, provided a safety net so people could leave their jobs. But what's happened over all of these decades is that now there's this expectation, and it's very much driven by the financial services industry. There's an expectation. CNBC will tell you at age 65, you should have 10 times your annual income saved up in a retirement account. And some people do, like that typical traditional way that we think of retirement. It does work for some people, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. And so first thing we need to do is go to our mindset and look at how we've defined retirement and be willing to be that we can create something new, and it doesn't have to look like that model. And our mindset also is so important with how we think of ourselves and how we think about aging. I'm 59 years old now, and I have classmates that not a lot of them, but sometimes I'll hear somebody talk about themselves as if, they're just on their last leg. Like life is over and now we sit around until we die. And I'm just kind of like shocked, And in the entrepreneurial world, there are people who are just entering their prime. There was a study done recently about how age, like in our 60s, we're so productive and we're so much more experienced. And we can look at people like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. They are still helping to run, still very vital, still helping to run Berkshire Hathaway, both of them in their 90s. So we can think of ourselves as having so much to offer and being able to contribute. And maybe we don't want to work that traditional job anymore, but there's a lot of other things that we can do and might choose to do. So first is mindset. And just having the knowledge and the confidence and the expectation that you can design a future life that is amazing. And you don't have to have $1 million. Like $1 million, awesome if you have it. If you do, you're probably not listening to this recording. But that we can design retirements at all sorts of net worths, that is not the defining factor, and whether or not you get to have an amazing future in your later years. So that mindset's the first lever. The second lever is going to be income. And again, we have this typical thought that, oh, we're going to earn income until a certain way, and then the earning stops, and now we're going to go down the mountain and we're going to be withdrawing, our savings and our investments. And that may be true, or there may be some truth to that. And again, there's a lot of other models. So it may be that retirement, I'm going to totally redefine it. It's leaving that job that you're no longer excited about. You're like done with commuting, done with cubicles, and you're ready to move on to that next phase. And we see people sometimes, like my uncle, he was an army dentist and he retired from that, but then he went and had another career after that. And so just because we retire from one thing doesn't mean that we don't go into something else. And maybe it's consulting, maybe it's a side gig, maybe it's something we've never done before, maybe it's part-time work, seasonal work. Something that's fun that you've always wanted to do. Maybe it's creating, I published a book last year with Kim Butler called Perpetual Wealth. It is about generational wealth. And I have, passive income coming in. So having multiple streams of income, having passive income, having things that you enjoy doing that you can make money at. And, maybe it's at the local antique store here, the woman that was managing that, and I'm saying was because I think it's closing down, not because anything happened to her that I know of, but the woman that was managing that was in her 90s and she did it part-time and she was very knowledgeable about antiques. And this wasn't her career, was running the local antique store, but it was something she was doing in retirement and having fun and staying connected with the community and earning money at the same time. So income is the second of the levers. Let's see. Third thing would be expenses. And I'm not a huge fan of budgets. I'm a big fan of really directing money towards the things that we care about and the things that are priorities and are important to you. But we do want to watch those expenses. We want to make sure that we understand our priorities and that we're flowing money in the right direction. And a huge area where I think we can make a big difference in that future, if you're, oh my gosh, am I gonna have enough? And what do I do about inflation? Or how do I close that gap between income and expenses? Is there are a lot of different ways that you can eliminate or reduce or offset your housing payment. This is much easier in most cases if you own a home. So I'm a big advocate for home ownership. And even if somebody's in their 50s and their 60s, I would say it is not too late to get into home ownership. As a matter of fact, that may be a really key thing that helps you in the future, because there's so many ways that we can reduce, eliminate, offset that payment when we own a home, when we have control over that property. I get into what those things are in the retirement revival. If you're by chance watching this before December 10th, I've got an event on December 10th, and I may have programs in the future. Leave a comment if you're like, hey, it's past December 10th, but I still want to know about this thing. So we want to look at our expenses, and especially those large expenses. Speaking of expenses, going on to the next lever, another large expense for people tends to be taxes. And if you're maxing out your 401k, you've probably been told this is the perfect thing to do, but you're actually maxing out your potential future taxation at the same time. You're getting a tax deferral in the meantime, which may be useful to you, but we want to be aware if you're kind of setting up a trap for yourself. If you set up all of your future income to come from a taxable place, a taxable vehicle, And there are strategies, whether it's offsetting those taxes through having a business, whether it is contributing into a Roth. There's Roth 401ks. The Roth IRA is definitely the more popular and very easy one. As long as you have some earned income, you can be contributing into that Roth. And I'll be talking more about that as well in the event. Okay, where am I? Savings is, I think if I'm counting correctly, I think that's the fifth lever. Sure, I'll go with that. And your savings, without savings, your investments are super, super vulnerable. And this is a mistake that some people make. They go into retirement and they've put everything into their 401k, and they don't really have robust savings. And so then, maybe they're still in the stock market. Stock market goes down. They need income. They have to withdraw. And that is the worst time to be withdrawing. So we also want to have robust savings that gives our investments a buffer. It gives us peace of mind. I recommend having kind of a layered prosperity pyramid sort of model where we've got money that's super liquid, and then maybe we've got some midterm savings for, a year up to maybe 5 years that's earning, and even our immediate liquid savings, right now and end of 2022, you can be earning 3% on that. If you have your money in Bank of America, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, any of the major banks, you are not getting the return that you deserve on that money. It may also be subjected to some extra risk. That's a whole nother topic for another day, but make sure you're getting a return on that money, and we can have layered investments where everything is not at risk in the stock market, which leads to the next thing, which is investments. Your investments results, they're going to be the result of how much money you're investing, when you invested, or how long that money is invested for, and what is the rate of return. And that may be a predictable rate of return. It may be a very fluctuating rate of return. I do enjoy the stock market most of the time, and it can be a challenge. You never want all of your money in the stock market at all. But it might be time for you to diversify, to take some risk off of the table, especially if you are 50-ish plus. You don't want all of your money in the stock market, I would say ever, but especially if you are, 50-ish, 60 something, headed into a time when you really want that money to be stable. So there's a lot of different tools, different asset classes that we can use and employ so that everything is not subject to this systemic risk. There's also a super cool strategy that you can use to make a lateral move from the stock market into an asset where you cannot lose any more money, but you still can benefit from the gains. I've got a side gig as a financial writer, and this is a strategy I've been learning about, writing about, and I've been a financial writer for a long time, and I did not properly understand this strategy or this product. And now that I do, I'm like, oh, I can understand why, several of my friends who sell financial products, why it is that they are using these or recommending these. So if you want to know about that strategy, you can message me or leave a comment. I can actually refer you to somebody who can talk about that. It was investments. Okay, I've gone through mindset. I did not go in the order that my notes are, but which makes it a little challenging. Mindset, income, expenses, taxes, savings, investments, and the last lever is your health. This is huge, and it's also related to mindset, I would say, and related to expenses, because this is something we can have some control over. The healthier you are, the lower your medical expenses will be. The statistics are crazy that the average married couple spends multiple six figures on medical care, health care. I think that also includes like their Medicare payment in retirement. That's nuts to me. And so the healthier you are, the more that you can take control of your health, your vitality, your what it is that you're eating and how it is that you're exercising and your stress reduction and your peace of mind. There are so many things. There's so much science and evidence now about the things that we can do to take control of our health. It doesn't mean you're always going to have control. There are diagnoses that people are surprised by that maybe make no sense in light of their health habits. Just 3 or 4 years ago, I tripped and stumbled and broke my ankle, so there are things that happen. And yet we can still be vigilant about our health, be giving our bodies everything it needs and not a lot of what it doesn't need. And you will find some really good results. And it really kind of circles back, when you feel good, you're going to be more productive. You're going to be sharper with mind. There's a correlation between exercise and staying sharp and sleeping well. And like all of those things work together to decrease chances of dementia or Alzheimer's or falling and breaking a hip. Not that those things can't happen, but we want to be as healthy as we can, as productive as we can. We want to enter in those later years where maybe it's not this all of a sudden it's age 65 and I quit my job and, sit at the beach or sit on the couch with my television because I don't have the budget to go to the beach. We don't want that. We want to be contributing and offering our gifts at all ages and staying connected and staying healthy and just be creating. You can create your life and create your finances at any age, and you don't need to, if you freaked out because oh my gosh, I'm supposed to have 10 times my income, like take a deep breath and know that there's a lot of different things that you can do. I have friends that have moved to other countries, or I have a friend who just finished building a home in Mexico that I believe she's free and clear on, and I have friends that did the same thing in Puerto Rico and friends who are moving to Portugal. And I myself moved from the Seattle area to Central Washington. I lowered my expenses in doing so. I'm closer to nature. I love that. So there's so many ways we can design our lives to be a rich, prosperous life. $1 million optional. Nice, but optional. Hope this was helpful. Would love to know what you found helpful. And I'm going into all of these strategies with more detail, including like a whole bunch of different ways to reduce or eliminate your housing payment in the retirement revival event. Let me know if you want to know more about that. Leave me a comment. Have an awesome rest of your day. Bye-bye.